Hi, this is Chris Watters here in Austin, Texas with Watters International Realty. If you're watching this video is intended to serve all of our clients that we're currently helping in the purchase or the sale of their home. There are a lot of things that are happening in the market right now with the coronavirus, and I wanted to give you guys some insider information, info that is coming from the boots on the ground in the market. There's a lot of messaging in the media right now about what's going on, but I want to talk about what's happening here in Austin, Texas. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and we're going to talk about the state of the market here in Central Texas. Okay, so first off, I want to ask you, how can we help you? How can we better serve you? If you're in a position where you're concerned about people coming into your home, if you're in a position where you don't want people coming into your home, you don't want buyers walking in, which I can totally understand. My wife and I are washing our hands so frequently, my hands are starting to crack from washing them every few minutes. And we have two little girls, a 3-year-old and a 9-month-old, and so we're a little extra paranoid about keeping everybody healthy and preventing this illness. So if there are any concerns you have, no matter what they are, please let us know. Reach out to me or one of our agents that's helping you in the sale or purchase of your home. We're here for you. There's no such thing as a dumb question, and we will do whatever we can to help accommodate anything that may be going on in your mind. So I just want to first talk about kind of the agenda of this presentation. First off, I want to compare 2008 to 2020 today. And then I want to talk about government stimulus. What's the government doing about this? Ultimately, the decline in the stock market we're seeing, which is a result of the social distancing. We can't be around people, which makes it tough to do business. So I'm going to talk a little bit about government stimulus. I want to also talk to you about some early indicators of market performance. So these are things we see as insiders in the real estate market, which you don't even hear about on the news for months and months and months. I also want to talk about the overall housing market. I'm going to share with you my real estate forecast between now all the way through the end of the year. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing with our staff and our agents from a prevention perspective. And I'm going to share with you two really cool programs that we've got going on right now. One is our virtual showing and listing program. I'll talk more about that in a minute. We're also going to talk about our 72-hour home sale program. And then I took some frequently asked questions we've been getting over the last 2 weeks, and I'll answer those live right here in this video. So first, let's talk about the 2008 housing crash versus today. So let's when we think about the market right now in 2020, this is probably the healthiest the real estate market has ever been. 37% of homeowners have no mortgage at all. And of the remaining 63% of homeowners, 1 in 4 have more than 50% equity in their home. So if you remember in 2008, it was really easy to get a home loan. I mean, if you had a bank statement, you could go out and get a loan, and they didn't make you jump through all these hoops. And so there were a lot of practices in the lending world that were not good for the market as a whole. And so it's gotten very, very difficult to get a home loan, and they haven't really taken their foot off the brake pedal. It's still very, very difficult 12 years later to get a home loan. The other thing is you typically have to put a lot of money down, as little as 3.5% down for like an FHA loan. And a lot of people are putting down 20% because we're getting into these multiple offer situations, and we're getting cash offers and things of those nature. So it's harder than ever to get a loan. And so the real estate market in 2020 is incredibly healthy. In 2008, people didn't have equity. People were upside down. Almost everybody was getting one of these 0 down home loans, and that is not the case. 2008 was a housing collapse. 2020 is not a housing collapse. It's simply a function of the social distancing, which is making it very difficult for businesses to operate, and it's causing companies' revenue to plunge. And so there's typically a lag factor you need to take into account. When you see the real estate market go, when you see the stock market go down, the stock market's based off future expectations, whereas real estate, we typically look at past sold comps. So there's this delay between the stock market and the housing market. So I think that actually works out for a lot of people to your benefit. And also for people watching this, we're in Austin, Texas. When the market did crash, we only went down a little bit. And this is one of the most economically diverse markets in the United States. Unlike other parts of the U.S. where they have most of their economy is relied on, for example, technology or manufacturing or education. Our economy here in Austin, Texas is very it's in a position where if one sector goes down, the other sector is going to be doing great. As an example, we have multiple colleges and universities here with hundreds of thousands of students. The Austin Independent School District, the Round Rock ISD, all these school districts, they employ lots and lots of people. And we also we've got the technology sector here. So we've got a very diverse economy, which really shields us here in Austin, Texas from a lot of the things going on across the country. Obviously, one of the biggest things that's impacted us in the past week is the government has said that the bars and restaurants need to shut down. And although there are some people in the service industry that can qualify to purchase a home, a vast majority of them can't, unfortunately. So those aren't typically buyers and sellers. Now, like managers and owners of these service industries, obviously they are, but we have such a diverse economy here. So bottom line, the times ahead are not going to be easy, but the industry has learned its lesson from the last crisis, and Americans are better prepared to weather the financial storm better than ever before. So I want to talk about some of the help that's on the way to help out some of the local businesses. If you own a local business, then I think you might find this helpful. Or if you're watching this and you're in a position where you're worried because maybe you got laid off or furloughed, the government is injecting a lot of money into the economy to help folks. There's the Treasury has proposed $250 billion cash infusions to individuals. And the first set of checks are supposed to be going out April 2nd, and the second wave in mid-May. And the SBA, the Small Business Administration, is going to be pushing $300 billion into emergency disaster relief funding for small to medium businesses to help them. For those of you watching this, if you own a small business or a company, I'm going to be doing a webinar that I'm going to record and I'm going to host, and it's going to be specifically for people that own a small to medium business. And I'm going to go into great detail some of the things you can do as a small to medium business owner to help create some liquidity for yourself to weather the storm. I'm a firm believer that when this coronavirus thing has come and gone, the economy is going to take off like a rocket ship. That, like I said earlier, the stock market's gone down faster than ever before because of all this uncertainty. And as soon as we get that early indicator of the cases of coronavirus slowing down, like for example, I think just a few days ago in China, they announced that the coronavirus cases are actually new coronavirus cases has gone to zero. They've had a few people be exposed to coronavirus and tested positive, but they were people that came into China. So all the extreme measures they were taking are sounding like they're working. So at any rate, I'm going to be doing a webinar coming up for small to medium business owners, and I'm going to share with you a ton of the resources. For example, there's actually some really cool stuff going on in the business world from some of the larger corporations out there. For example, Facebook is going to be giving a $100 million grant to small to medium businesses. They're going to pick 30,000 different businesses to get access to this money in the form of cash or potentially in Facebook ads. And so there's an application process you have to go through. So I'm going to talk about this in the webinar. You know, as my job as a real estate agent and broker owner here in Austin, Texas, is obviously to help support my fellow local business owners. The small to medium business sector is literally the lifeblood of the U.S. economy. And what affects the real estate market is interest rates and jobs. And so I'm going to do everything I can to help out other fellow business owners. So I'll be sending out an invitation to this webinar I'm going to be hosting next week to talk about some of the resources available to help us weather this storm. So I want to talk about some of the insider information that we have as real estate agents that these media outlets you see on TV, that they do not have access to. So one of the earliest indicators of how the market's doing is checking the lockbox activity. So because we do a lot of business here in the greater Austin and Central Texas area, you know, we get to see we have a very large sample size. And so I'll share with you this past weekend, we have roughly 93 homes that are actively on the market and have gone on the market recently. And so this past weekend alone, we had 173 showings this past weekend. Now, I checked yesterday how many showings we had yesterday. We had 52 showings yesterday alone. This past weekend, we had 20 offers come in on those 173 showings. So these are amazing early indicators. And if you think about it, why people buy or sell, you know, owning a home is not a luxury. Owning a home is a necessity. Now, there are some examples where owning a home is a luxury, like, for example, buying a rental property. But a vast majority of people are buying a home to live in. And so the lockbox activity is amazing. One of the key stats or conversion metrics that we watch is how many showings are leading to offers. And so we're looking for a 10-to-1 ratio. So for every 10 showings, we should be getting one offer. Now, if we get 10 showings and we don't get any offers, it typically means either the home is not priced correctly or something is wrong with the home from a product perspective. Like maybe, you know, consumers are talking negatively about something wrong with the home. So it's those two things. So, you know, like from a macro level, like we're hitting those metrics, actually doing a little bit better. And so if I wasn't listening to the TV and the media back there, I wouldn't even know anything was going on. So the other thing people are wondering is, you know, what about buyers? Are they terminating contracts over the fear of the coronavirus? And so we have only had one person terminate the contract on the purchase of their home over the past week. I've only had one person terminate because of the coronavirus, which is great news. And I'm filming this as of March 20th, 2020. So I actually expect things to get better, because if you're in Austin, I think most of you are following that, you know, the schools are supposed to go back and open up on the beginning of April. And I think most of the United States is going to get back out there and start working again at the beginning of May, worst case. So I'm very optimistic once we get through this little cloud, if you will, of social distancing, that we're going to be off to the races. And we're, again, incredibly lucky and blessed to be in Central Texas. Okay, so one of the questions a lot of people ask is, you know, from the perspective of like how healthy the market is. Are we in a buyer or seller's market? Before I answer that question and tell you whether we're in a buyer's or seller's market and tell you how healthy the market is, I just want to further kind of define what a buyer or seller's market means. So typically with single family homes, if there are more than 6 months worth of homes for sale, if there's more than 6 months, then we shift into a buyer's market. So I'm going to break this down a little bit more. So let's say, for example, there's only a month worth of homes, meaning if not another home came on the market in 1 month based off the demand of current buyers, we would have no homes on the market. So that is a crazy hot seller's market. So when there's typically 0 to 1 month of inventory, we see 10 to 20% appreciation annually, Now, between 1 and 3 months of inventory, we typically see a 5 to 10% appreciation rate. And between 3 and 6 months of inventory, a 0 to 5% appreciation rate. So this is how you can kind of project, based off the supply of homes, you can kind of project what the future is going to look like from a appreciation or a depreciation perspective. So there are some exceptions to these rules. Like, for example, if it's a luxury or ranch type property, that's when these variables change a little bit. So for the most part, what I'm showing you is specific to single family homes. Now I want to dig into Greater Austin. Okay, so the Greater Austin housing market can be divided into two broad categories. One are the suburbs of Austin, for example, Cedar Park, Leander, Pflugerville, Georgetown, Kyle, Buda, Bastrop, Dripping Springs. The suburbs of Austin, this is what we're seeing on average. Now, this is kind of a broad stroke. There's small little nuances here and there in each of those suburbs. But for the most part, anything between 0 and 200,000, there's 1.5 months worth of homes available. If no other homes came on the market, like literally in 6 weeks, that we'd be out of houses. There wouldn't be anything to sell. So that is a crazy hot seller's market. From 200 to 400,000, there's 3 months of inventory. In some cases, between 2 and 300,000, there's only 2 months of inventory. Between 400 and 600,000, there's 6 months of inventory on average. Sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more, depending on, if you're, for example, if you're watching this and your home is located in an area where there's lots of new construction going on and the home builders are increasing supply because they're building a lot of homes, that can have a negative impact on how fast your home sells. So that's something you have to be mindful of. And then the inner core of Austin, like we're talking like within a 3, 4, 5 mile radius of the inner core of Austin, from like downtown Austin, the 0 to $750,000 price point is like this crazy red hot seller's market. Prices are just going up like crazy. The $750,000 to $1.5 million price point, there's 2 months of inventory. So crazy hot seller's market, massive appreciation. Great time to be a seller. Between $1.5 and $3 million, there's 3 months of inventory. And then when you go above $3 million in the price point in the core of Austin, that is when the market starts to get a little bit weaker. There's anywhere between 6 and 12 months of inventory. And actually, homes are struggling that are north of $3 million that are non-waterfront properties. Again, there's some small little exceptions to this rule, like condos, ranches, and luxury. Luxury can be kind of like defined more specifically based off like what market you're in. Like a luxury home in one of the suburbs would be a home in excess of $400,000. A luxury home in inner core of Austin would be defined as a home in excess of $1.5 million. And that's really all a function of the dirt, the land itself, because there's such a limitation on the supply of homes and there's nowhere else people can build in the core of Austin. And so that's what ultimately drives the price of a home. So I want to share with you guys my forecast and my prediction over the next 3 quarters. So this first quarter, like I said earlier, if I didn't turn on that TV right there, I wouldn't actually know that that there was some pandemic going on specific to a virus. Our showings are through the roof. We've had only 1 contract terminate, and so the market, for the month of March has been absolutely incredible. Now I do expect, now that we are, full-blown quarantine, almost everybody is staying at home right now. When I go out onto the roads and highways, it's like the traffic on the roads has been cut by like 50, 60, 70%. I do expect us to get fewer multiple offer situations, but homes are still selling. And I'm going to share with you guys some really creative things we're doing to show property and what we're going to be doing throughout the month of April to get our listings shown and to help buyers that are relocating to this area. Now, I do believe that in the 3rd quarter of this year, probably in the summer, around July up to September, I expect interest rates to start to climb. If you've been following the news, the interest rates are at all-time lows. The 10-year Treasury has gone way down. Like the rates are crazy, crazy low right now. And so, this is one of the reasons why we're not really seeing a slowdown, because buyers are super motivated. Like if you get an interest rate, like for example, 0.5% lower, like you can now afford like a $350,000 house versus a $325,000 house because your payment's gone down. So anyways, I expect late summer interest rates to start climbing, but the market's still going to be really strong. And towards the fourth quarter of this year, I'm predicting we are going to have one of the strongest fourth quarters of the year going into the winter that we've ever had in the history of Austin real estate. The reason I am predicting that is because the Federal Reserve has said they are earmarking $5 trillion to inject into the U.S. economy to prevent us from going into a long-term recession. So in Austin, we have really low supply of homes. We have lots of people moving to Austin. The numbers are staggering. In fact, we may get even more people to move to Austin because companies are trying to get more efficient. They want to relocate from states that have a state income tax to Texas. They want to move their entire businesses here for those tax advantages. And so I think we may be in a place where the fourth quarter of this year going into the winter could be one of the hottest times to have your house on the market. Now, granted, it is one of the slower times. Typically our showings, like the number of buyers walking through a home, are at their peak between April, May, June, and July. And so typically our showings do slow down in the fourth quarter, but I think we're gonna have a really good fourth quarter because of the amount of money being injected into the US economy. So I also want to talk about some prevention measures that we are taking as a company. We actually started putting this stuff in place several weeks ago. The CDC has released best practices for businesses. So if you guys come into our office, we have somebody walking around sanitizing doorknobs, the desks, high traffic areas every 2 hours. Our employees are currently working from home as of March 20th. So our employees, our staff that helps support our agents. So like, for example, our marketing team, our transaction coordinators, and other support staff are all working from home. And our agents are coming in the office, but we are strategically having meetings to talk about what clients are looking for and to talk about our homes for sale. We're doing these very strategically, and we're doing them in groups of 10. That's per the recommendation that's been released for business owners, not to have more than 10 people in a group. So we're doing this strategically Monday through Friday. We are having meetings and using tools like Zoom and tools like the FaceTime on our phones and Google Hangouts to operate as a business. Most of our, actually all of our agents effective today are equipped with gloves. So when they're showing a home, they're wearing gloves to open up the doorknobs, to turn the lights on, and they're taking substantial efforts to sanitize the homes before and after they get to a home and after they leave. So I want to talk about some really cool stuff we are doing, which has had a really big impact, and I think is going to continue to have a positive impact for all of our clients over the next 4 to 5 weeks. So we've rolled out a virtual showing and listing program effective this week. We actually rolled it out on Monday. And we are live stream broadcasting our listings. So what we're doing is we are talking to all of the buyers out there and all of the agents, for example, realtors at other companies, and we are scheduling broadcasts at our listings that buyers want to see. And we are broadcasting these using Facebook Messenger. So what's really cool about Facebook Messenger is you can do a video chat, and we can show homes and live stream it to potential buyers. And it doesn't matter what type of phone you have, whether you have an Apple phone or an Android phone, we can broadcast it via Facebook Messenger, which is really cool. So we're doing open houses daily, and we're live streaming these for people that don't want people coming into their home, or buyers that are fearful of coming in homes. So it's something really cool we're doing. We've been sending out messages to all the buyers via text message, letting them know, like we're available 24/7. Like, you let us know when we can set up a live stream of a home you're interested in. And so we're scheduling those daily. And then something else we're doing for homeowners is, there's a lot of steps to getting your home ready to put it on the market. And so we're using a web-based tool called Zoom to do conferences. And so this is specifically for homeowners. And we're actually going through our marketing presentation of what we're doing to market home for sale via Zoom. Something else I want to bring up is our 72-hour home sale program. So when people reach out to us, we always ask them, are you looking for maximum convenience, or are you looking for, maximizing the sales price of your home? And so over the last several years, we have built a huge pipeline of 3 categories of buyers. 3 categories of buyers. So the first category is your traditional retail buyer. And so what's really cool is, because we do so much marketing here in Austin, Texas, we have over 2,000 buyers registering on our website every single month, 2,000 new buyers every single month. And we have over 12,000 buyers here in Central Texas actively logging on to our website, searching homes for sale. And so we're able to actually look at the search behavior of buyers and match their properties up with listings and tell them specifically about houses before they're actually on the market to give them a competitive advantage. So that's one category of buyer, and that specific buyer, the person that's going to occupy that home, their family's going to live there, it's where they're going to call it home. It's not like secondary property or investment, like they're calling it home. That is the buyer that pays a premium. And we have a backlog of those buyers. And then the second type of buyer is what's called an iBuyer. iBuyer stands for internet buyer. These are internet-based companies buying homes, for example, Zillow Offers. And so that's the second category of buyer. And then the third category of buyer are what are known as institutional buyers. Institutional buyers are, for example, real estate investment trusts, pension funds, things of that nature. And so over the last several years, we have built a huge database of all 3 categories of these buyers. And so when people call us, if they're interested in just maximizing the sales price of their home, they don't mind people coming into their home and showing the property, then we're submitting the property to all these traditional types of buyers to maximize the sales price. And a lot of our listings are ending up in multiple offer situations, but sometimes they take a little bit longer to sell. Now, the second option is we can submit your property to the iBuyers and to these institutional buyers and collect offers. And literally within a 72-hour time period, we can have multiple offers on your home, and you can decide, do you want maximum sales price on your home, or do you want maximum convenience? Now, the cool thing is most of these institutional buyers and these iBuyers, they're not like home flippers. They are paying a really good price for homes. So they're not paying pennies on the dollar. Now, there is a slight discount compared to a typical buyer of a home that's going to live there. There is a service charge that the institutional buyer and the iBuyer charge. And so, you are going to net a little bit less. And just to give you an idea, on average, it's typically about 6 to 9%. We're seeing on average about 6 to 7% as the service fee for some of these institutional buyers in order to make the numbers work. And same with the internet buyers, about a 6 to 7% service fee. So for the homes out there that do not fit in the what's called buy box for these internet buyers and institutional buyers, we also have an alternative solution through just traditional investors that buy homes that are distressed. So for example, the home won't qualify for traditional financing, like maybe the roof needs to be replaced, foundation issues, things of that nature. We also have a database of buyers that buy distressed assets. The service charge is much higher because they're taking on a very high-risk property. But we have multiple outlets, and this is how we are delivering on this 72-hour home sale program. So you just need to let us know, do you want us to execute on the 72-hour home sale program and submit your property to all these different sources? And if so, we will get moving. Just notify your listing agent that's working with you, and we will put this into place. We typically only put this in place if the consumer says they're looking to, try to get the home sold, without a shadow of a doubt within 72 hours. If someone's trying to maximize the sales price, we're leveraging the typical buyer that's paying the highest price and netting the consumer the most money, putting the most money in their pocket. And sometimes we get that within 72 hours, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Our average home with the traditional buyer is taking about 28 days. So it's still happening super, super fast. Okay, so I want to talk about frequently asked questions. The first question we're getting from a lot of our clients is, are showings still happening? And the answer is yes. Even with the fear of coronavirus, we are actively showing homes every single day. We had, I think it was 54 showings yesterday. And then this past weekend, we had 172, 173 showings this past weekend. So it's March 20th today. So like we are busier than ever before. Another question I commonly get, are homes going under contract right now with people's fear of the coronavirus? And the answer is yes. We had 20 offers come in on Monday from all those showings. We had 5 offers come in yesterday. So we are busier than ever before, and we are taking proactive steps to prepare for if the government says basically like everybody has to be on lockdown, by leveraging our virtual showing program, live streaming showings to potential buyers. Another common question I get from people is, should we wait to list our home for sale? So here's the thing, statistically, the busiest week for showings is the first week of March. The first week of March is single-handedly the 1 week of the entire year that has more showings than any other week throughout the entire year. And so there's a lot of steps you've got to go through to get your home ready for sale. It's not super cumbersome, but there are some steps. There are some things we can recommend to you to help you maximize the sales price of your home. And so if you're watching this video and you haven't listed your home yet, or you're in the coming soon stage of getting your home on the market, I would highly encourage you to talk to your listing agent about the things you can do to better prep yourself to get it on the market. And in a perfect world, you have the house on the market by May 1st. Most of Central Texas is going to be going back full steam ahead on May 1. So I would be taking all the steps necessary to get your house on the market over the next few weeks in preparation of that first week of May. Now, the last question I get are, should we wait to purchase a home? So here's the thing, like interest rates are at an all-time low. And if like without a shadow of a doubt, like come late summer, we're probably going to see those interest rates start ticking back up. They actually ticked up a little bit this week compared to last week. And so I expect them to start ticking back up as time progresses and we get out of this, get out of this storm of this coronavirus. We get out of this, all this mess. I expect interest rates to go back up. Like, the Federal Reserve, they acted super fast, decreasing the Federal Reserve, the rate. And so I expect them to start ticking back up once we get into the summertime. And so the thing you need to be mindful of as a buyer is if you're going to live in the home for an extended period of time, you can look at something called an amortization schedule. And if you look at that amortization schedule, it'll tell you how much money you spend in interest over the course of the 30-year term of that loan. And when that interest rate goes up, call it, 0.5 point to 1 percentage point, you could be talking about six figures, like over $100,000 in additional interest expense. So, take that into consideration. Like this is kind of a nirvana for sellers because prices are at an all-time high. The market doesn't seem to be slowing down here in Austin. Buyers can get a home that's more affordable than ever before. And maybe you're a buyer and you're thinking, for example, well, what if homes go down? Here's the thing, like if, let's just say like the Austin market does get impacted, which I highly doubt because, we had a listing last weekend get 32 offers. We had a house get 32 offers last weekend, another one get 12 offers, another one that got 6 offers last weekend. So I don't expect it to slow down. Maybe we just don't get as many multiple offers. But the thing is if you're a buyer and you wait, let's just say worst case scenario, home values do go down. They go down $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over the next 6 months. Well, I can tell you that the interest savings is going to be a multiple way above and beyond that over the term of your loan. So if you guys have any additional questions, please send me an email, or please reach out to your listing agent or your agent helping you buy a home. We are here for you. I just want to thank every single person watching this. Thank you for trusting us. I want you to know we have been, extremely proactive in preparing for every scenario potential. Things are changing on a daily basis. You turn on the TV and something new is coming out. So we are being incredibly proactive to help our clients through this time. And I cannot thank you guys enough. And please reach out to us, any questions you have or anything we can do to help you during these challenging times. Please let us know. And thank you for tuning in and watching this. And I am here for you guys. I'm in the office daily until they tell me not to go into the office. I'm going to still keep going on and going into the office. So reach out to me or your agent with any questions. Thank you so much for tuning in.